Good afternoon. Welcome to Metropolitan Community College's 17th Annual Diversity Matters Film Series. It's great to be back with you for another film and discussion to enlighten and encourage you to always be a lifelong learner. Your microphones and chat with other audience members are turned off. Send your messages or questions for the speaker through the chat function to moderator Barbara Velasquez. I'm excited to say that we will have the film's producer director here for Q&A after the event, after the screening. Also watch the chat for a link to an online evaluation, and those of you who participate in 20 sessions over the academic year, complete the evaluation with contact information will be recognized. The oh so important midterm elections are just around the corner. Today's documentary offers the opportunity to watch a documentary that reflects on the last midterms in 2018 and first-time Asian voters. First Vote is a character-driven, true-to-life look at Asian American voter experiences in battleground states amid the increasing political divide since 2016. As the 2018 midterms approached, the filmmaker, a soon-to-be first-time voter herself, took her camera on the road and traveled to two of America's most coveted congressional districts in Ohio and North Carolina, where she follows the political participation of 4 Asian American voters. In Ohio, after casting his first vote for Trump in 2016, a conservative podcaster, Lance Chen, commits himself to mobilize Asian American voters for Republican candidate Jim Renacci. In North Carolina, a progressive journalist, Kaiser Kuo, confronts the recent rise of Chinese Americans for Trump, but his views have alienated his wife from her conservative friends. In North Carolina's 4th congressional district, Sue Gouge, a real estate businesswoman and proud owner of an AK-47, courts voters for her congressional campaign at a Tea Party rally. At the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, critical race theory professor Jennifer Ho engages students on the subject of Asian American identity in the South. The central question that all Asian Americans feel is, do we belong? As recently as 1952, federal law barred immigrants of Asian descent from becoming U.S. citizens and voting. The film explores the themes of immigration, identity, and voting rights through diverse perspectives of Asian Americans, who are now the fastest growing eligible electorate in the United States. Sit back and watch First Vote. Thank you, everyone, for being with us to watch First Vote. I am really excited that Yi Chen, producer and director, has joined us. Yi Chen is an independent documentary filmmaker based in Washington, D.C. Her work has qualified for Academy Awards and won Telly Awards and LA Asian Pacific Film Festival's Special Jury Award for Art and Craft of Documentary Form. She holds an MFA in Film and Media Arts from American University. She's a DC Arts and Humanities Fellow and 2019 SOROS Equality Fellow. Her work has also been supported by Ford Foundation Just Films, Open Society Foundations, ITVS, Taiwan Foundation for Democracy, and Tribeca if/then. Please welcome Yi Chen.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me here.
We're very happy to have you. Yi, can you tell us a little bit about why you sought to produce this documentary?
Yeah, so I started making this film in 2017. So right after the 2016 presidential election. so there are mainly two things. One is that I myself was actually in the process of becoming a first-time voter myself. So I was very curious about, I was interested in learning more about the democratic process and civic engagement, and specifically as an Asian American, how do Chinese Americans or Asian Americans voters vote from both sides of the aisle. And I guess I think the second part of it is also the 2016 presidential election. I saw a lot of very passionate voters, very passionate Asian American voters that participated in that election. So I became interested in finding out what really motivated them, and also why Asian American voters from both sides, why do they vote the way they do?
Thank you. One of our audience members writes that this is an excellent film. I know many millennials who do not vote, she said. I believe our students all need to see this film. Let me tell you, those of you who are Metropolitan Community College employees or students, thanks to our library, they purchase a perpetual license. So you can go through the library system and watch this. You could watch it any place that you can access their online holdings. So you would be able to show it again. And Yi has been very generous to allow us to record her comments so that you will be able to put that together with the documentary if you'd like to share it with somebody else, or if you just want to watch again. I know I get a lot on second and third trials of movies sometimes. So it was real. There were a lot of very interesting comments. I threw one out to the audience that I was wondering if they wanted to respond to, but it was the Republican Party is the party of diversity. And the Democratic Party is good for immigrants. The one gentleman repeated that that's the first reason, and that's the second reason to vote Republican, I think he said. Some of these might be surprising comments. I wonder, Yi, as you went around, what was most astounding to you, maybe? What were some things that you didn't think you were going to hear or see or experience?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I think, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that surprised me. And what you just said, like what Lance said in the beginning of the film, that really surprised me that he believes that, like, and also, I think what Suguj, I think both Lance and Sue's perspectives and their beliefs, I think a lot of those were surprising to me. I think those are the perspectives that I personally were not familiar with, especially hearing from immigrant voters, similar, that I have similar background with.
We have some people watched Meltdown in Dixie last night, which also has a relationship to voting. And for anybody who was also there, absolutely, our library is super supportive of international intercultural education, and they do purchase perpetual screening licenses if they don't already have them for the documentaries that we show. So you can always check those out, right? And almost all of our speakers allow us to record their commentary, but I'd be happy to talk to anybody about that or communicate via email afterwards, just to help you with how you access the documentaries. So back to First Vote. I do so appreciate your strong attempt to make this very bipartisan. It allows for people from both sides of the aisle, I guess we could say, to watch and consider what they're seeing. And especially for new voters, I think that might be really important. But I was wondering how much of the concerns that voters have, do you believe, is coming from the experiences that they had in their home countries? Because so many of the people we saw are immigrants, not all of them, but many of them were. What are your thoughts on that? Like, we don't want this to become communist again, like China was, for example.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, so like for Sue Gooch, because of what happened to her grandfather, the word communism is such a trigger word for her almost. And I think a lot of, and not just Chinese American voters, like Vietnamese American voters and even Cuban American voters, what I've also seen is they really resonate with this this rhetoric of Republican Party's anti-communist party, and that really resonates with them because of their experience in their home country.
Yeah, it seems like that as you watch this, that some of that comes through. And I will say, as a person who lived outside the US and kind of, watched and explored how my fellow US citizens adapted to or what they took in about the environment of the new country they were in, is I think it takes a long time to really understand a culture and a community and how things work, and the rhetoric, all the communication pieces. So I think politicians in general can have an easy target on either side to fool people, perhaps. That's just my thought. I think it takes a while to really get what's going on. And some of the enthusiasm that I saw on this documentary reminds me of when I was a child and how people approach politics more than I see maybe how they do now. Like, bumper stickers were huge when I was a kid. I mean, I don't see them so much anymore, but some of the immigrants were using them, right? So just that kind of.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Kaiser's wife said it really well, because they don't have voting rights in their home country. They've never voted before. So it's like their first experience doing this. It's very exciting for them. And I think, in a way, regardless of who they vote for, I think it's a great thing still to vote, to be civically engaged. I think that's still a very positive thing, regardless of which party they vote for, because that's how democracy works. But yeah, I mean, they're very excited, especially Lance. Like, he shows so much passion, so for his candidate, and he put on those bumper stickers and yard signs, and because all of a sudden they have this, they feel empowered, they feel like their vote matter, which is the way it should be in a democracy, right? Like, your vote matters in electing your senator, your congressman, your ANC commissioner. So yeah, they and it's also very interesting that he's been here for a long time, but he wasn't interested in voting until 2016. So that was also a very interesting thing too.
Yeah. And I strongly agree with you that we have a lot to learn from that enthusiasm, because just like one of our viewers said, she knows so many people who don't vote, right? we need as a society to take this more seriously, right? It's really beautiful to see that. And you made that very clear at the end, with democracy only works with participation, and Lance, as you said, was so enthusiastic, but he was very open at the end. It doesn't truly matter who wins as much as the fact that people are participating, right? We definitely know who his candidate was, but you felt that he was very sincere at the end when he said that he just, he wanted people to take on this civic responsibility. Let's see what else we have here. And I'll say too, the illegal, I don't like that term, but it was used all the time. Illegal immigration. This is not something that just Chinese people say, I can tell you, who are immigrants, right? It seems like a lot of people who do come through the standard government process, it's common to hear, it's not fair. This was easier for them. But it's sad, because I think it means that there's a lot of misunderstanding about people who have no possible way of coming in that standard route of immigration. So thank you, Jenny, for reminding everybody that midterm elections are November 8th. We want you to vote. I know that some of us probably have mail-in ballots waiting for us to complete and deposit them. Early voting is available here in Nebraska. And then, of course, on November 8th, it's exciting to go to the polls. So everybody get out there and vote. And like Dr. Gooch Grayson said last night, take somebody with you, or take several people, start calling those folks that may not have a ride, and see if you can set something up for the day of November 8th. We really want everybody to vote. So just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. It was like, again, I will say again, you did a really nice job of keeping this bipartisan and showing us both sides, and giving us, a taste for what immigrants, at least in 2016 and 18, were thinking. And we'll see what happens with the midterms that are coming up. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, go vote for sure. And I think the four characters that, they said really well at the end of the film, that voting is a privilege, and our vote matters. So it's really, really important that we vote. And if, tell your friends about the film, it's available through the library. So if you like the film, definitely tell your friends about it. I would love to have more people watch it. It's also streaming on Amazon and iTunes, and PBS website as well. So I hope you'll help spread the word about the film. And everyone is so quiet. I would actually love to hear from the audience, like what, how did the film make you feel or think? Like what's your reactions? Or if you have any questions, don't be shy.
Joe's our technician. Joe, if you wanted to quick open people's microphones in case anybody wanted to shout out a thought about the documentary, we're open for that right now.
Okay, everyone should be able to unmute themselves now.
Thank you. And I'll say something as you're preparing for a shout out. We talk about it being a privilege to vote. Some places you can't. And within the United States, it was 1952, I think this video said, before Asian Americans could vote, and Native Americans who were here before all of us were, held back from voting for so long. So, I mean, yes, it's a privilege. And let me tell you that in some countries, it is a responsibility to the extent that if you do not vote, you have to pay a fine. That might sound crazy, But it is what it is. So we have a lot of freedom here. And what we hope you do is exercise your right to vote so that we can keep those freedoms. Anybody want to shout out to Ms. Chen?
Great job. It was very informative. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for watching and joining the Q&A, Cynthia.
All right, well, we'll move forward then. Again, thank you so much. It's always really a pleasure and an honor for us to hear from a producer and director and to kind of put ourselves into your experiences. Thank you so much. Audience, again, thank you for prioritizing your time to learn, explore, and share some thoughts via chat. Just remember that you do have the opportunity to see this again, and we invite you to come back and join us for future sessions. Joe's going to put up the evaluation slide, and I will send that out to you if I can't get it to you before we shut off here.
Thank you so much for having me, Barbara.
We really appreciate your being here. Thank you. And our next program will be actually tomorrow. We are going to have our first book discussion, Diversity Matters book discussion, and the link to register for that is in the chat. And I'm going to quickly get up the link for the evaluation, but I'll also be emailing that to everybody as soon as we finish here. But tomorrow at 2:30, you can enjoy talking about and learning about a very easy, somewhat, I would call it entertaining. I don't know if that's a good word, but it's very fascinating book called I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter. Copies of this are also available in our libraries that support our work with such great dedication. Our discussion will be led by Beatriz Gonzalez, who you see in the picture there. For those of you who work with students or teach or just want to understand the community better, there's so much in this book that really can open your understanding to what this Julia, the young Mexican daughter, wants us to know through this book. It's very, very fascinating. So we'll see you tomorrow, I hope, at 2:30. And thanks, everybody. Thank you again, Yi. We really appreciate your being with us today.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.